Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well today. It has been a while since I've really sat down and talked to you guys about books. I feel like it's been a while since I've talked about books and I've done like a reading vlog. I promise more is coming. August has just been a really insane month for me personally. I moved this month. I unfortunately had my grandmother pass away this month and I've just had a lot of things going on. I joined a kickball team. I've been trying to kind of cope with moving and a lot of really crazy things with my job, and I've been traveling a whole bunch, so it's just been a lot. And I unfortunately did go through a pretty big reading slump at the beginning of the month. I didn't read any books for the first 2 weeks of August, which was really rough. I don't think I've gone that long not reading a book since I've started reading last year when I started really getting back into reading. And so it's just been a little, I just needed a break. It was just kind of time. But we did end up getting a really good chunk of books read throughout the last couple of weeks, which has been a lot of fun. I'm so excited to sit down and talk to you guys about them and to get ready for the August reading wrap up and get ready for September for all the fun books that we're gonna read next month. I'm super excited. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. All right, starting off, I have a really fun video coming out soon about me reading more thrifted books, and I have 3 books right here that we have thrifted that I did read. And what's kind of wild about this month in particular is every single book, I'm gonna spoil it for you right now, every single book I rated was a 3-star. Nothing spectacular, nothing terrible, nothing so good. Everything was pretty average, but we're gonna talk about them anyway because I still thought that they were really fun. So starting off, we have The Reading List by Sarah Nisha Adams. This book, I, again, thrifted this one, and this is about a woman, well, it goes between 2 people. It goes between a woman and a man. You have 2 different point of views. The woman's a little bit younger, the man is older, and they both find these lists that have the same books on them, and they kind of become friends because she works at the library, he starts visiting the library, and they become friends, and every couple of chapters you read a new book, and they're like actual books. Like Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, we have, what is this one? Life of Pi, we have To Kill a Mockingbird, I believe is one of them. So this kind of fun because I've read a lot of the books that they talk about in here, but you kind of learn different life lessons that these people learn and go through as they're reading these books, and it goes through a lot of healing, and you meet other people as well. You kind of meet different people throughout the whole series that they also find the same exact reading list. So what I think is really special about this book in particular is when I opened it up, I myself found a reading list that somebody had put in here, their own personal reading lists. So there's 10 books on here. So I haven't read, I don't think, any of these actually at all. So I'm excited to start reading these to see if there's anything good on here, but that was really special. So I did like the book. I did feel it was a little weird because I just didn't really love the 2 complete stranger point of views. I mean, they are friends, kind of, they become friends, but I just thought it was a little, like, I just didn't love the connection with there, but it was still overall a good book. I would recommend it. Very clean as well, nothing inappropriate that I can remember. So yeah, The Reading List by Sarah Nisha Adams. Great, 3 stars, we love it. Moving on. The next book we got, I was actually really excited to read this because this is a national bestseller. Alexander McCall Smith is the author. They have so many amazing books that so many people love. And when I thrifted this, I remember people commenting on that video saying that they loved this book, and that is the #1 ladies detective agency, and people like love this book. It's huge and it was good. It's a fiction / mystery book. I actually picked this one because it's a little bit shorter. It's 230 pages, so I figured I could read it very quickly, and I did read it very quickly, and it was cute. It is, you know, again, this woman, and I believe they're in like Rwanda or somewhere in Africa. And so that's kind of fun because you do get to kind of learn about different cultures and just kind of how things are, but you also get to see your similarities as well. But this book, she starts her own detective agency after her father passes away because he kind of gives her a small inheritance that she's able to do so. And she goes through just, you know, finding different people or solving different mysteries, helping people find their parents, helping people realize that they're being scammed, all these fun things. So it's kind of fun because you do get different mysteries in every single chapter, but there's also a, you know, big mystery that they're trying to solve throughout the whole entire book. So it kind of does ebb and flow together that way. Overall though, I just felt like maybe it's just because it was so short, there was just some bigger key points I just kind of felt like weren't fully explored, if that makes sense. I mean, I really do like the book. I want to read more of Alexander McCall Smith. In fact, I know that I have thrifted more Alexander McCall Smith books. People just seem to really like the author. So I just felt like it was just not the best. It was not my favorite, but I'm excited to continue reading. And I do like that it is an author that is, you know, he is from Zimbabwe, I believe, right? Yeah, lives in Scotland, returns regularly to Botswana. Maybe it's Botswana that this is kind of taking place in. So overall, a good book. I would recommend if you're wanting something kind of fun, a fun little, you know, again, it's a little bit of a fiction and mystery type of book, but you also get a little tiniest little smidge of romance in there as well, as she falls in love with somebody and she, you know, of course plays hard to get, all that stuff. Don't we all? Anyway, I did like it, so I will read more of them. I don't know if there's like, if this is a series or if this is just a one-off and then he just has a bunch of other books. I know that he has other books, but that is that. The number one ladies detective agency. Good, 3 stars, and that's that. And the next book that we read that we thrifted was Echo of Fear by Tara Myers. This is the Chris Echo Files, which I believe is a series. I don't know if this is the first one. I don't think it is, but this was a very good, fun thriller book, if you will. Very predictable, but obviously we have Chris Echo, who thought a private island in the South Pacific would be a perfect escape from the terrors of her life as a CSI profiler. But shortly after retreating to the tropical setting, she finds herself trapped in the middle of something far more dangerous. Of course, while she's out there on this island, this guy who works for the CIA is infiltrating this like drug cartel, and they end up wrecking and landing on the island and start trying to take it over. And he's trying to essentially still stay alive and still try to be in this group because he's undercover and he doesn't want to blow his mission, but he's also trying to save all these other people, including Chris Echo, who herself is a cop, and she's also trying to save everyone, and they end up getting together. Of course, they fall in love, or he alludes to it falling in love, but it was fun because it was quite like exciting, very powerful. A lot of things like, you know, were happening, and so I kind of really was intrigued by all of that. I really love cops and robber type of movies and shows and those types of things, so this did intrigue me that way. I did feel like there were some storylines that were not fully explored, like you hear about in the beginning, and maybe this is because it's maybe over a whole series and not just this book, but you hear in the beginning about how she's, you know, ready to escape and things have been going wrong and she's been forced to take this vacation, and it never tells you why, it never tells you what was going on. She alludes to the fact that I think she might have killed somebody out of self-defense, but it never really dives deep into that, so that's where I am confused. I think maybe it needed to have been explored just a little bit more so you weren't fully confused, unless I needed to read it in the series, but it doesn't ever say on here like number 1, number 2, like it doesn't say what list this is in the sense of the series. It doesn't even have the other books like listed in here, but it has the Chris Echo Files right, you know, right here. So I'm confused a little bit, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But it was still a really good book. I am intrigued. I would read more, honestly. I would read more. I did like the thrilling aspect of it. You know, obviously everything always ends up good in these books. They always, you know, are able to successfully have a great mission, which doesn't always happen. So it's very predictable, which is why I think I also picked it, because again, it's also a little bit shorter. I knew it could be a good palate cleanser, and I was just trying to kind of reignite my spirit and my attitude for reading since I was going through a reading slump, and so I figured just having these really simple, quick books would help me out. And so this one again was just a 3-star book, really good. Still, I would recommend. And if you are into like the thriller, mystery, you know, police, CSI type of thing, I think this would probably be your jam. Okay, what's next? Oh, right, the next book we have I read on my Kindle, so pretend that this is it. The book we read was Love and Olives, which is a Love and Gelato series, which I read a couple of months ago. This, again, is a really cute, just palate cleanser, kind of cute romance. It's a young adult style of book, and it's about a girl named Olive who gets a mysterious letter from her father that has basically abandoned their family like 8 years before, saying that he needed her to come and visit him before she starts her senior year of high school to help him with a big project. Now, he left her family because he was hunting Atlantis, or at least that's what she was under the assumption of, and so when she flies to Greece, she hasn't seen him in over 8 years. She's really worried about what's happening, and she finds out that they're filming a documentary for National Geographic about him finding Atlantis, or at least about Atlantis, and she gets roped into helping out, and she doesn't really want to, but she is forced there. She has to be there for 10 days, and she can't fly home early. So it's kind of this fun story about her and her dad becoming friends again, and her kind of really realizing that she maybe has judged him a little bit and he had to leave to go back for different reasons, and that she just kind of maybe everything wasn't as it seemed. Obviously there's another boy involved as well who she ends up being roommates with while they live there, because they live in a bookstore, which is obvious. Like, it just, you keep hearing about it and you're like, this is getting cheesier and cheesier and cheesier, and I'm loving it. It's so cute. So it was fun. Again, they are high school, so nothing inappropriate happens. Very cute. I would recommend it if you are wanting just a cute little fun summer reading romance type of book. I know that summer is basically over at this point, but it was fun. There is a book in between them. I think it's called Love and Luck is the second book. I'll be honest, I don't know if I am going to read that one just because I feel like I liked the book, I like the series that I read, but I just don't really see the need to read another one that's kind of similar. I feel like the first one, Love and Gelato, was also in a similar vein of a girl trying to reconnect with her father that she felt abandoned her for her whole life. So I think I'm kind of over that trope by now, but it was still a really, really good book. And the second book that we read on our Kindle was Good Girl, nope. It's in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, and it's called As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. This, I believe, is the final book in the series, and it was quite intense, I have to say. If you have read the series, you know that there's a girl named Pip, and she is a young detective. She's in high school, and she kind of decides to start this podcast for her senior capstone project where she kind of tries to uncover who did this big crime that somebody was kind of falsely accused for 5 years before. That happens in the first book. She's able to uncover it. She finds out who killed her and was able to get somebody successfully in jail. And the second book is very similar. There's somebody goes missing and their family wants her to try to find them. So she does the second season of the podcast. And in this book, you find out that really Pip has really gone downhill mentally. She's struggling with a lot of demons from her past, from these really insane things that are happening, and she ends up finding herself in the situation where she was kidnapped, is about to die. He's there to kill her, and she's able to kill him in self-defense. However, she doesn't believe that anyone is going to believe her when she says that it was self-defense, because this guy is very highly respected in the community, and she just doesn't think anyone's going to believe her, so she tries to cover it up. And the whole time she is just really like, I mean, mentally it's just crazy, and you're really feeling it, but it was very, very dark in that sense. Like you witness her commit this murder, and you witness her trying to cover it up, and the whole time you're just like, girl, what's going on? It's just kind of wild. So I would say overall, not necessarily my favorite book out of the three of them. It was darker. I would say if you were to read the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, stick with the first one. Maybe read the second one. I did like the second one, but the third one I don't think you needed. So unless you really want to see it fully come to fruition, there is that. I actually do have, there's a little novella in there, and maybe there's 4 or 5 books actually, but I know that there's a novella that I did pick up when I went thrifting recently called Killjoy. I don't know where that fits in with the other books, so I might read that one this fall just because it would be fun to kind of just completely complete the series. But yeah, overall I just felt like it was just dark. It was just dark, and I felt bad for her, and I also felt like that was pretty much completely unrealistic. If you're going to kill somebody in self-defense and you have the struggle wounds and all of that to prove it, people are most likely going to believe you. And, you know, in the end, she did get away with it. Spoiler, she did get away with it. So I don't know what that has to say. You know, I don't know what that tells you about everything, but that's that. Okay, the next book we have on here is The Rule Book. Now, The Rule Book is a book that I read when I went camping over the weekend. I read it in my tent every night. And it's, again, another really cute palette cleanser. It's a fun romance book, and it's about lost love, essentially. So there's these two characters. We have Derek and we have Nora. They were college sweethearts, kind of. They met in college. He's the star football player. She's going to become a sports agent one day. And when they're in college, she decides to break up with him because she's worried that he's going to hinder her career, and she really wants to be able to go and do it, and she wants me to make sure that he doesn't give up his career for her. You fast forward like 8 years later, she is now a great sports agent. She becomes his sports agent, and he refuses, but some things lead to another. One night they accidentally get married when they're in Las Vegas, and they have to spend the next couple of months trying to repair their reputations by staying married and pretending that it's real. And then obviously, as we know, they fall back in love again. It's super, super cute. They stay married. It's, you know, a whole thing. We love to see it. So just your cute, average little romance book. This one was really popular. It was TikTok popular. It's by Sarah Adams. I gave this one 3 stars just because I felt like it was a little spicy and very predictable as well. And I also felt like the ending was just kind of wrapped up really quickly and didn't go through. Like, they were having a lot of problems and a lot of conflict was starting to happen. And then it very quickly just switched, and it was like, everything's good and okay. Like, you spent the first 3/4 of the book building up to like the fact that there's going to be this big conflict happening, and then so quickly it gets resolved. I just didn't feel like that was super realistic, so I didn't really like it for that reason. So again, 3 stars, still good, still to recommend. It's still a fun romance novel, so I would recommend it if you are wanting a cute summer read. Again, I know that summer is basically over, but it's still warm outside, so I'd recommend picking it up and reading it. And the final book that we have for this series, I actually finished just the other day, and this is Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. This book is so good. I love reading Colleen Hoover books. She has some of my favorite books. Verity is one of them. She has It Ends With Us and It Starts With Us, which is currently really, really popular in the movie realm. I haven't seen the movie yet, but this is about 2 people Kate and Miles, and they meet when they live across the hall from each other, and they both either don't have time or don't have the emotional capacity to be in an actual relationship, so they decide to kind of start basically a friends with benefits situation where their relationship is purely physical. For that reason, and the spice content in this, I rated it 3 stars because it was pretty spicy. It focused a lot on their physical relationship, but I love the poetry in this, which is why I kept reading. Whenever it was Miles's chapters, they were written in this like poetry. You can see that it's written like in the center of the page, and like they have, you know, silence. The word silence gets bigger to smaller. Like, it was just really, really cool to see those types of things and those poetry elements written into here, and to have it be from the male perspective was very different and unique, because usually you don't get that type of vulnerability from the men when you're reading these books, unless they're written by women, which is more unrealistic, which this is written by a woman. It was really good. But I just felt like the story was so tragic and yet also very, very beautiful, which is why I really, really liked it. I just didn't like the spice content in here and the physical elements, which I kind of knew going into it that this is what it was going to be. But again, still enjoyed the book. And I still like Colleen Hoover. Again, I really like Verity. That's one of my favorite books by her, and it's a fun thriller as well, so I really like that one. So anyway, that is Ugly Love. That is the final book that we read for the month of August. And again, it was 3 stars. All right, everyone, I think that's it, to be honest. So those are all the books that we read for this month. I'm excited to continue reading more. I am really wanting to start to get into some fall reading since we are in September. Even though it's still so hot outside in Utah, it's 90 degrees this week still, so it's not really feeling like fall yet, but I feel like getting some fun fall books will help me put me in the mood and get me ready for some fall reading, and hopefully help kick me out of this fall reading or this August reading slump that I've had. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Comment down below what books you read in the month of August and which ones I should read for the month of September, and I will see you all in my next video very, very soon. Bye.